it was considered to be a world apart. And now, since 1 year, we are changing the complete strategy, and everything that's online has to support what's on television. Another important thing is, because you're accessing customers online, you know exactly who's sitting in front of the device. It's not a mass anymore, it's all individuals. And you can get a lot of data from the traffic they generate, like Facebook is getting data from you and other sites, Google, whatever. So broadcasters will be able to use that data to engage what we call a deep conversation with the audience. Deep conversation meaning what happens when you have a deep conversation, you get to know each other very well. I get to know your interests, what kind of shows you look at, when are you looking at them, how do you interact with the shows, what is the feedback you are giving me, what is your age, your location, your gender, whatever. Data mining is king. Broadcasters are hardly doing anything with data for the moment. Facebook is, and Google also. So it will be about getting the best value from both worlds, the broadcasting one and the online services. And digital distribution is going to change the shape of the TV market. Imagine, who knows Spotify? Imagine a Spotify for documentaries. Would that be a service? Think about it. Now we're coming to your part of the business. What could be a future for documentaries in this big changing digital world? This is the same slide as I showed, I think, 6 years ago in Athens, but I added one line, the bottom line. For me, there are 3 possible tracks. Documentaries have to go back to the big screen, big stories. You know, documentaries do very well in festivals on big screens because there is the event part, going together in a dark room and sharing the experience of seeing a good film. Documentaries have to move to the new screens, mini stories. We will go into detail on that. And the new one is the last one. Documentaries have to stick with the old screen because for the next, let's say, decade, television will be still very strong. All those films were released in the cinema in my country and were very successful. I think you know them. So there's an audience for documentary in the cinemas. It's a niche, but it's there. Move to the new screens. Online, mobile. Those were online channels. I think people in Great Britain must know them. Current TV from Al Gore. Was in Italy, is closed down now in Italy, but still operating in the States and in Britain. Here you really can watch nice short-form documentaries, and it's you that watch what you want, when you want. You can make your own program and choosing the films you want to see. The same goes for Link TV, which is based, I think, in London. It's more or less the same concept. Still operating, 5 years, very nice. Going and doing well. Have a look if you don't know it. This one is one of my favorite, also online since 6 years. 4 docs, short form docs.
When you say short form docs, what do you mean? That's what you're talking about.
It goes between 3 and 7 minutes. It can be longer, but this is what most of the people are producing. On a statistical level, we know that when people access video online, it's between that time, between 3 and 7 minutes, no longer. Those screens are not adapted for watching 52 minutes or more. For this, that's another experience. You can put episodes together in a story. Many of those which you will find here are developing a new narrative way and also visual style, which is adapted to this screen and not that one, of course. So documentary is flexible, yes, and can adapt and reinvent itself. This one is very nice. I always use it in my classes. Who knows The Lift by Mark Isaacs? You want to see a clip or? Okay. No, I can't put it on the large player. It's embedded, so you have to watch it. Yeah, this is from internet and it's a bit slow. Okay, we're stuck in the elevator, I think. We'll have a look at it during coffee break. And now it's running. No, sorry for that. BBC is doing a lot of what they call interactive stuff. This is a project which is online in almost 4 years. It's covering the whole coast of Britain in an interactive mode, meaning there are online documentaries, there is a map on which you can follow and go from one location on the British coast to another one. You can access content provided by viewers and users. Have a look. It's really a fantastic trip. It's already there for 4 or 5 years, and you can still enjoy it. What a difference with a documentary, which is just shown once and maybe a rerun and a second rerun, and then you have to find it somewhere in VOD. This is always online. You can always access it. This is also very nice. One of the first interactive web docs made in Canada by the Office National de Cinéma, the National Film Board. It's great. I won't go online because I will spoil your experience because of the slow internet, but please check it out. This is a way, and I was thinking about also you, Jessica, for your project about the Mediterranean. This is really online storytelling about the 4 big lakes in Canada. I forgot the names, but check it out. It's really beautiful. It was made by a classical trained filmmaker, a Canadian filmmaker. So let me point out some of the strategies you can use who can be useful for you as documentary makers. The first one is very important because documentaries or feature documentaries, that is what we are talking about, it's a niche audience for a broadcaster. It's like arts programs on television. It's a small audience, but very committed. So it's important that you know or you get to know your audience and to engage in conversation with them. I know many of the filmmakers, well, not many, some of the filmmakers couldn't care less about the audience. They want to make their film. This is not the right thing to do. You have to know for whom you're making your film. Who do you want to address? And you have to know him or her very well. Know what is the expectations. What do they want? Because it's like a dog in a niche. Once you have his trust and you give him the right food, he always will come back. And so many of the documentary strands on channels in Scandinavian countries, in Holland, in Britain, they're addressing a niche audience. When I would tell you the figures of Storyville, which is a famous documentary strand on BBC4, you would be really surprised. It's very low, but they always come back, and they're coming back since. How old is the strand? 10 years? 15 years? So they're still there. But you're working for that audience. You're not working for the television masses. No, that's the wrong concept. You're working for individuals, and you have to engage them, but once you have the trust, they will come back. The second one is the one flow experience. That means that today people are accessing media, like I told you, in different ways. And it's really, when you try to track it down, it's really a very complicated social dynamic. What I know and what I can see is that especially young people move from one media to the other without any effort. And sometimes they use them together. And so they, and those are the future audience, they expect to access, to share, and to take your content. Sorry for the dirty word, but that's your film content. They want to take it with them. And it should be one flow. They don't want to spend minutes in finding it somewhere. No, they want to find it right here, right now. So you have to brand your content. We will go into that later on. So they can recognize it immediately on the different platforms, on the different screens. Use the second screen. Who knows about second screen? What is a second screen? It's very simple. It's what you do when you're watching television on another screen. Many people now are not just watching television anymore. They're doing their mails, they're chatting, they're doing a lot of things on tablets. I have a figure here from 2 months ago. 86% of the people in my country have used an online device in front of the television set. And 30% of internet time is spent while watching television. So when your film lasts 1 hour, 30% of that is spent by the audience doing something else on another screen. They don't have your attention all the time. Clever producers, and you know this, are developing apps. They're still expensive, so they're made for big game shows. Apps that allow the audience to interact with what's happening on the television screen. So with the screen here, you can interact with what's happening on the screen at the other side of the room. Other genres will follow. So why not for documentary? This would really engage my 2 girls. They're not watching documentary on television. They find it boring. But when they can interact and engage with it through this very nice second screen, they will be there. They will be waiting. Get social. Very important. I think many of you do it already. It might sound as a sacrilege to filmmakers who expect the viewers to undergo the unique experience that is especially designed for him. But it is clear that our way of interacting with the content is changing. What is the main interface for youngsters with the digital world of today? I think you're all on it. It's Facebook. You can already access text, music, pictures, video. Soon you will be able to screen films and television series. When Mr. Zuckerberg acquires some rights, it will be there. So having access to your favorite series will also be possible on Facebook. Why not? So social media could become your main interface also as documentary makers. Multi-format your content. Don't do it only for your film. And the baseline there, I think you heard it before, you create once and you publish many. The more windows you have, the more opportunities you have to reach an audience. And the more footprint, meaning impact, your project gets. The main effort for making a documentary, research and development, you can use it also for output on all the different platforms which are listed below. The extra cost is relatively cheap compared to the main costs. Of course, you don't have to cover all 7 of them, but you can cover some of them. You have to make a difference. Cross-media or extra media or transmedia, like they call it, should be there from the start. Forget putting it later on as an add-on. That's the wrong strategy. Either you do it from the beginning, or you don't do it. You have to SWOT, you have to analyze the cross-media potential of your project. Can I achieve something with it? Is it a good subject or not? If not, forget it. Define your selling point. Where does your project make the difference? And brand it. That's really important. In order to make your project travel from one screen to the other, from one platform to the other, it has to have a brand. And a nice one is the one I always use. It's a Swedish. It's more than a film now. I think there are 2 films. Bananas and the next one. I think it's Big Boy Gone for Bananas. It was launched on Facebook. And you could follow the whole process of making the film and distributing, and also the issues and the problems the producer, which is the second guy from the left, Gerten, what is the first name? Frederick Gerten had. And so I followed this for 2 years, 2 years and a half. It was like a continuing online story. And from there, they chased you to the website. And it's all because of the brand, Bananas. It's very easy, very simple. You know it, oh, Bananas, I can find it. You Google Bananas, it came up. If you have a very long, complicated title, people won't even bother to look for it in Google. So yes, involve your social network. Many of you already have it. You can build from that. It's free. And so people can do a lot of nice things. And so you build an audience online. You can even start thinking about getting money from that audience. The crowdsourcing story. And for me, somehow it's the essence of documentary. It's giving access. It's giving share and giving access. Documentary democracy. You also can explore, that's what's happening in the Anglo-Saxon part of the world, the ways of getting money. There's a lot of money to be found from innovation funding in many countries, also from Europe. Community funding, the crowdsourcing story, Kickstarter. Affinity cards in the US, every time you pay with credit cards, you can give a small percentage to a project which you believe in, so why not a documentary project? All things to be explored. And don't look back. Don't be afraid of the future. The past is behind you. You have to look forward. And so for me, this is one of the main challenges is if you want to move to the new screens, you have to develop tools are there and will grow, but you have to develop new skills and a new grammar. Documentary needs new grammar, new syntaxes, because you don't speak the same language. you will have to find some other ways of storytelling. But once a storyteller, always a storyteller. So there is a future for documentary. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to take them. You have to look at how audience behaves before the different screens. What is the experience? It's always based on the experience. That's why broadcasters made that survey 5 years ago. This experience of watching at this screen is completely different from the experience when you're watching this one. What is the attention span in this room and the attention span when you're hands-on? What's the attention span when you're walking around with your mobile device? That's only one element. So, Galata Bridge, I think it's Galata Bridge. Arte is one of the broadcasters who is really exploring new ways of storytelling. If you look at the interactive projects like Galata Bridge, Gazda Sderot, Prison Valley, there are many of them online. You just can find them. Look it up on RTTV. You will see that the way of telling the story is completely different from the one you use for delivering content on the big screen. Is that an answer? I know.
What you're saying is basically that, if I understand you right, that there's always been a difference between watching a film in the cinema and a TV.
Of course.
And now we just added the computer
Sure.
and mobile live.
Where does documentary, why did I say documentary has to go back where it came from? It came from the big screen. And that experience was translated to television. And it's not always a happy experience, as many of you filmmakers know. When they see the nicely shot and graded film on this, most television sets at home with people are very badly tuned, meaning the colors you worked for hours on, they never look like you wanted them at home with your audience. And on those devices, it's the same. The basis of storytelling is, of course, you have to grab an audience, you have to have an attention, you have to build, I don't have to tell you. The basic is the same, but the way in which you turn it is completely different. If you go to Gazda Sderot, you will see how the mini stories of the characters on one side of the wall, and the other, how they tell the small stories, is very different from the one you use when you make a documentary for television. It has to do with attention span, with time, with framing, with... Any other? Sure, bien sûr. It's yeah.
from my own point of view, if you don't care at all about all that, you can make great films. And the fans are
When I said don't look back, it was a kind of a quote. And of course, you should not, and I didn't mean discard. I know the value of heritage and tradition. No, it was a quote from Bob Dylan when in 1965 he said, don't look back, when he changed from acoustic to electric. And Mr. Dylan got the highest award from President Obama last year, and he's still alive, he's 70 years old. This is what I meant with don't look back. You have to go for the future, like he did in 65 when he dropped his acoustic guitar. Of course, he built it on the experience of playing acoustic for 10 years. But he went electric, and it was like a curse in the church of the folk audience. But he went for it. And he's the biggest songwriter and singer that's around. But I agreed completely with you. Any other questions? Or maybe later during the coffee break?
Thank you very much, Philip. Yes, and talking about coffee break, as you can see, we ate some of it already. I think we'll try to make it a bit shorter. If we say like something like 20 minutes or something like that, then we go to the group work. Did you all get the piece of paper with the groups and where it is on the third floor for all of us? Yeah. And let me repeat, if some of you came a little later, remember to deliver your visuals that you will use during your presentation now to the gentleman up there so that he can put it on his computer. Okay? 20 minutes and we just go directly to the group work. Thank you. Kan du ikke bare prøve at snakke med ham om, hvad du gør så? Bare gå til ham og spørge. It's working now. Wi-Fi is working.